Adventures of Harry Nile.
Mr. Nile?
At your service.
My name's Philip Lake. I'm an attorney. I don't think we've ever met, but I'm told you may be able to help me on a little matter. Would you be free to come in and talk about it, say 2 this afternoon?
Well, let me ask my secretary. She keeps my appointment book. Miss Murphy, am I free this afternoon at 2?
Oh, I'm your secretary again. I thought I got promoted.
Just look in the appointment book, okay?
Why, yes, you do have a 2 o'clock hour available, Mr. Nile.
Hey, we're in luck. I'm clear at 2 o'clock.
You also are clear at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and 5 o'clock.
Excellent. My office is in the Cascadia building, 6th floor. Take a right when you get off the elevator. We're 2 doors down.
2 doors down. Okay, I got it. Care to tell me what this little matter is?
That's something I need done for a client of mine. I'll explain it when I see you at 2.
2 it is. See you then, Mr. Lake. Rats.
What?
Oh, I don't know. For some reason, this smells like another divorce case. If I ever get rich enough, I'll hire a gumshoe to handle all the keyhole jobs.
You're too fine for that kind of work.
No, I just can't run fast enough anymore. Oh, well. Comes with the territory, I guess. Pays the overhead, keeps the lights on.
Pays my salary. Oh, and Harry, speaking of my salary...
It'll come right out of the front money I'm getting from our new client, Counselor, what's his name, Lake. As soon as he gives me my retainer, you'll get what I owe you. I promise.
It is the summer of 1952 in Seattle. Sunglasses are conspicuous. Convertibles carry sun worshippers to the beaches at Alki and Golden Gardens. For these are the 60 days of sunshine allotted each year to the pallid citizens of the Queen City. And while vacationers transfuse the tills of the local merchants, the private practice of Harry Nile remains anemic. But Harry is about to embark on a new case, one with a lot of potential. It's potentially deadly. The dollar value of death.
The 6th floor of the Cascadia building is an avenue of lawyers' offices, all identical from the hallway except for the names gold-leafed on their mottled glass doors. The second door to the right reads Philip W. Lake, attorney at law.
Now, sit down, Mr. Nile. Warm enough for you?
It reminds me of L.A.
Yeah. You worked in Los Angeles at one time, I understand.
Yeah, that's right. I moved up here a couple of years ago.
Well, it happens I'm defending a writer in a lawsuit brought by a party in Los Angeles. There's been an interesting development. I need to have someone go down there and check it out.
Huh?
Well, here's the story in a nutshell. My client is a woman named Ella Foster, a writer.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Foster worked for 6 months for a person named Homer Wells, who runs a talent agency in Hollywood.
Okay.
A talent agency that only represents actors who take coaching from the Screen Arts School of Drama, which also happens to be owned by Homer Wells.
Oh, wait a minute. Is that legal?
Well, it violates the rules of the Screen Actors Guild. But during the time she worked for Wells, Ella started writing a novel. Her main character is a sleazy agent who also runs an acting school.
Uh-oh.
Well, the book is fiction, but frankly, it is based on what she learned working for Wells.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she quit her job and moved up here to Seattle to finish the book. She sold it to a paperback house. It hit the stands, and Wells got a copy of it. He hired a lawyer, claiming the book not only slanders him and his business, he's also claiming she wrote it on his typewriter during office hours. So he brought suit. And, of course, he's also suing the publisher. And the publisher pulled the book off the racks and stopped promoting it, so we're suing them as well.
Well, how much is Wells suing her for?
Well, he wants $200,000 in damages, plus the advance they paid her, which isn't much, but he wants it. And he wants her to refund every cent of the salary he paid her from the time he hired her to the time she quit. He's also claiming severe emotional distress, causing him to be treated for a heart condition. All told, it's about $250,000.
Ooh.
And he slapped a libel defamation suit against the publisher for another $250,000.
Ooh, again.
We claim these charges are unfounded, and we're countersuing. We're also suing the publisher for breach of contract for yanking the book off the market.
Well, are his charges unfounded?
Well, I presume if you knew all the characters in her novel, you could see some resemblance to some real people. But he'd have a very tough time proving she wrote the book with the intention of defaming anyone. I mean, after all, the book is a novel, a work of fiction.
But you think Wells might have a case.
Look, at the very least, they might find a witness who could testify she saw Ella typing her novel at her desk at the agency, so she might have to give back 6 months' pay. Look, and this is privileged, okay?
Okay.
Ella changed a few names and places, but otherwise, she wrote pretty much what she saw going on.
Okay.
That's why I've been trying for an out-of-court settlement. To be honest with you, they've got a pretty good case against us. And their business may have questionable ethics, but it's not illegal from a statutory point of view.
But you say there's been a new development now.
Well, for almost a year I've been exchanging angry letters and phone calls with Wells' attorney, an unpleasant fellow named Joel Converse. He's refused the meeting. He's refused to talk about settling out of court, which I've repeatedly offered to do. He's been absolutely adamant. Said his client won't settle for less than Ella Foster's head on a platter. But now, with our court date less than 30 days away, Converse suddenly calls me up a couple of days ago, just as pleasant as you please, and says, "Oh, shucks, Phil, let's go ahead and settle this thing." Total, complete reversal.
Huh. What made him change his mind?
Well, that's what I need you to find out.
Well, if he's in a mood to settle now, why don't you just do it?
Because I smell blood. Something's turned Converse from a tiger into a pussycat. Suddenly, he's backing off. Why?
Well, what did he say?
Oh, some twaddle about how his client only wants to be reasonable.
Huh.
I don't know what's going on, but if Converse suddenly decided he hasn't got a case, I'll sue him for my fees and Ella's mental anguish suffered in fighting a frivolous lawsuit. And on those same grounds, we'll have an even stronger case against the publishing house if it's obvious that they had no justification for pulling the book off the market. So, I want to know what's happened down there. And I can pay you $50 a day plus expenses with a $1,000 cap.
And how soon do you want me down there?
Yesterday, Mr. Nile. Homer Wells' change of heart could be very, very temporary.
Philip Lake gives me a copy of Ella Foster's book, which I read on the first plane next morning to Los Angeles. It's not great literature, but it's filled with juicy gossip and a lot of ugly characters. L.A. is broiling by 11:25 a.m. when I reach my first stop, the Wells Agency. It's on the second floor of an Art Deco building on Ivory, between Sunset and Hollywood Boulevard. And as I climb the stairs, I'm preparing a little act to try out on Mr. Wells. At the top of the stairs are two doors. One says the Wells Agency. It's spelled like Orson spells his name. And the other says Screen Art School of Drama. I turn to the left and walk into the agency office.
Yes, sir. Do you have an appointment?
But no, I didn't know I needed one.
Sorry. If you're here for an interview, we need to set up an appointment.
An interview?
Are you looking for representation?
Representation? Yes. I'm looking for an agent.
You have your headshot and resume with you? No. I see you haven't.
Well, I was wondering if I could talk with Mr. Wells.
Mr. Wells is out of town. This is an application blank. Fill it out and mail it back to us.
Do you know when he'll be back?
Who's that?
Mr. Wells.
No.
I see. Does he have an assistant that I could talk with?
Tell me, how much acting experience do you have?
Well, not a whole lot, actually.
You're an interesting type.
I am?
What's your name?
Harry Nile.
No experience, you say?
Well, none to speak of, no.
Well, this could be your lucky day, Harry. It just so happens that one of the studios is casting a picture with a small role that calls for someone your type.
My type?
Mid-40s, stocky build. Of course, Mr. Wells would have to see you himself, but you are the type.
So?
Well, obviously, if you haven't much acting background, you're not ready for representation. We only represent seasoned actors.
Yeah, sure.
However, just a minute. Debbie, this is Charlene. I have a gentleman here who needs basic coaching. Any possibility of an opening? There is? Wonderful. His name is Harry Nile. I'll send him right over. Well, this really is your lucky day, Harry. The Screen Arts School of Drama just had a cancellation. One of their students landed a big part. Go across the hall. Debbie will process you.
Look, we still haven't talked about how much this is.
Take care of all that. Don't forget your application. Good luck.
Tell me one other thing.
Yeah?
What kind of part is this?
Part?
In the movie they're casting, you said I'm the right type. For what kind of part?
Oh, a private detective.
So much for my acting. I look like a PI. Swell. If I couldn't fool Shirlene, will I fool Homer Wells? But I go across the hall and get processed, which means I signed up for $500 worth of acting lessons to begin tomorrow night. Then at a payphone, I look up the number for Wells' lawyer, Joel Converse. I tell his secretary I'm supposed to have lunch with her boss, but I've forgotten where, so she tells me he's having lunch at Nicodell's. Nicodell's, halfway between the CBS and NBC studios, just off the Sunset Strip. If you sit at the bar and listen, you'll hear $1 million worth of radio talent. Harry Von Zell is talking with Ken Carpenter in one booth. Don Wilson is chatting with Phil Harris in another. And 3 stools away, I hear Hans Conried telling an elaborate joke to Jerry Colonna. I lay a $5 bill on the bar and ask the bartender if he can point out Joel Converse. He shrugs. I lay another $5 on the bar. This time, the chemist leans toward me while looking over my left ear and tells me it's the black-haired dude in the orange jacket all alone in the booth behind me. He's playing with his Bloody Mary, looking around like he's waiting for someone. Time to see if I can play someone other than a private detective. I walk over with an eager grin on my face. Joel Converse!
Yeah, well, oh, hey, what do you say?
Jeez, am I glad I ran into you. You all alone?
Well, actually, no, I'm waiting for someone.
Oh, well, then I won't bother you. I just happen to be looking for a good lawyer.
Oh, that's so. Well, why don't you sit down for a minute?
Well, are you sure?
Ah, sure, come on.
Well, okay, it's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it sure has.
Oh, you haven't changed. Still wear those sharp clothes?
Yeah, well, you know, you haven't changed much either.
Still remember the old days?
The old days?
Yeah.
Who could forget? So, you're in need of some legal counsel?
Well, yeah, I do.
Well, why don't you give me one of your cards where I can get in touch?
One of my cards? Yeah, sure. Sorry, I just remembered I just gave away the last one. I got to pick up some more. Listen, you give me one of yours and I'll call you, okay?
Oh, sure. Here, let's see. Here you go. Hey, I'll tell you what. Write down your name and phone number for me on the card, and I'll give you another one to keep.
Yeah, okay. Oh, say, you're a friend of Homer Wells, aren't you?
Oh, you know Homer Wells?
Well, he recommended you.
He did?
Yeah. You're handling some kind of legal case for him, I guess.
When did you talk with Homer?
Oh, a couple of days ago, a week maybe.
Sorry I'm late, honey, but we had this guy come in. Well, speak of the devil, Mr. Nile.
You two know each other?
I was just going to ask you the same thing.
Shirlene from the talent agency. Oh, small world, isn't it? Well, listen, I was just leaving. I'll be calling you, Joel.
Oh, no, hey, wait a minute. Wait, just a minute here. Charlene?
Came into the agency about 11:30, asking for Mr. Wells.
And you told him we were having lunch here?
No, I sent him to Debbie. He signed up for classes. What's going on?
Hey, well, don't let me interrupt your lunch.
Just a minute. What's your name, friend?
His name's Harry Nile. He wants to be an actor.
Yeah, that's right. Listen, actually, you see, I thought maybe you could put in a kind word for me with Mr. Wells. I knew you were Homer's lawyer.
Oh, is that so? Must be Homer told you.
Yeah, did.
When you talked to him about a week ago?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I might be able to pull a few strings. Where can I contact you?
Sunset Park Motel. It's room 211.
A motel?
Well, yeah, just till I get settled. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know how it is.
Well, now I know the book is right. The Wells Talent Agency is basically a come-on for their real moneymaker, the acting school. I duck out of Nicodell's, retrieve my rented Ford from a parking lot attendant who hates sitting in anything less than a Rolls, and hurry back to Ivers Street in the Wells Talent Agency, which is locked up for lunch. But Debbie, the drama coach, lets me in with her key when I tell her I left my resume there by accident. She leaves me alone and goes back to her class, which is all the break I need. Right there on Shirlene's desk is a Rolodex, and under the W's is Wells, Homer, a Pasadena address, and 2 phone numbers, one marked with H for home. No answer. So I try the other number, which is penciled in, not typed. While I'm doing this, I'm hoping that Shirlene and Joel are still back at Nicodell's and not on their way up here, because I'm fresh out of excuses. Aha, this time the phone is answered.
This is the long-distance operator. Did you wish to make a long-distance call?
What?
The number you have dialed is long distance from your prefix.
It is? Where is it?
Palm Springs.
Well, can you get that number for me?
Yes, sir. What number are you phoning from?
Yeah, this is, Hollywood 95517.
One moment, please.
Palm Springs. Probably Wells Golf Club or Desert Hideaway. Maybe that's where he is. While I wait for the line to be connected, take the opportunity to look through Charlene's appointment book. Lots of names. None of them mean anything to me. And then the Palm Springs number answers.
Desert Care Center.
What place is this?
This is the Desert Care Center. What number were you calling?
Oh, I was trying to get a hold of Homer Wells. Is he there by any chance?
Who's calling, please?
Well, he doesn't know me.
We are referring all calls from Mr. Wells to Hollywood 95517 in Los Angeles.
Oh, I see. Okay, thanks. The Desert Care Center, huh? Referring all calls back here. Well, it can't be over 110 in Palm Springs. Guess I better saddle up. So I head east out Route 66 through Beaumont and Banning, and 130 miles and nearly 4 hours later I pull into the desert playland of the stars, Palm Springs. The thermometer at the gas station where I stop reads an even 110, and the pump jockey gives me directions to the Desert Care Center, which turns out to be a low tile roof structure behind a high adobe wall with a gate made out of oxen yokes. 5:06 p.m., and I'm in a courtyard shaded by willows, pepper trees, and palms. A little fountain splashes, and all around are people, mostly old, sitting or lying motionless in the scorching sun.
I'm sorry, sir. Visiting hours are 6 to 9.
Oh, well, I saw the gate was open, so I,
Is there something I can help you with?
Yeah, there is. You a doctor?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
I came to see Homer Wells.
I see. Well, Mr. Wells isn't here.
Was he here?
May I ask your name?
Yeah, sure, Harry Nile.
And, you're with...
No, I'm not with anyone. I just wanted to see how Mr. Wells is doing.
You're a friend of his?
Yeah.
From
Los Angeles. There's some reason you need to ask me all these questions?
I'm afraid I can't help you. We have no Homer Wells with us.
Well, that does it. Joel Converse tells me Homer is here at the Desert Care Center. I drive all this way in this lousy heat, and now...
You didn't mention Mr. Converse. When did he tell you Mr. Wells was here?
I don't know. What difference does it make?
I suggest you talk with Mr. Converse again. I've told you all I can. I'll have to ask you to leave. You're disturbing the patients.
Well, it might disturb them a lot more if the police came here. They don't observe visiting hours.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Look, Doc, I'm a detective. I'm investigating the disappearance of Homer Wells. If you know anything about it, it would be a lot better if you told me what you know right now. You get my point?
Come with me. You have some identification?
Sure. That's, here, right here.
You're a private detective?
Working for an attorney, yes. You can talk to me, or we can subpoena you and take your testimony before a judge. Which will it be?
What did Converse tell you?
That's not the point here. The point is, what do you know about Homer Wells?
He's dead.
I thought so.
He had a coronary.
When?
Oh, a month or so ago. I could look it up in our records.
He's been dead a month?
Yeah, approximately, yes.
You have a folder on him?
Yes.
Can I see it?
No, it's confidential.
Well, I can get a warrant, which then gets into the public records, along with your name and the name of this hospital.
All right. Here.
Where's a copy of the death certificate?
It's not in there.
Yeah, I can see that. Where is it?
I don't know.
But the original will be on file at the county courthouse, right? Isn't that right, Doctor?
There was no death certificate. Look, this was all Joel Converse's doing.
Oh, nice, Doc. Now we've got to get rid of him, too.
You tailed me down here.
Are you armed, Mr. Nile?
No.
Try to find a weapon on him, Mike.
Joel, I wish you'd put that gun away.
Yeah, so do I.
I said search him.
I don't think he has a gun.
All right, good. Okay, I assume you're working for Philip Lake up in Seattle, am I right?
I never divulged the name of a client.
Of course you're working for Lake. He sent you down here to find out why I was willing to settle our suit out of court. And now you think you have all the answers.
Yeah, all but one. Did Wells die on you, or did you have to kill him?
He died. He had a heart attack.
There wasn't a thing anyone could do.
Okay, let me guess. You got his durable power of attorney, Joel, right? So you could write checks, pay bills, run his affairs, total authority to act in his name.
Naturally.
How long before he died?
Long enough.
Mr. Wells had no living relatives. I thought Joel was the only person who cared about him.
So was the lawsuit his idea or yours, Joel?
Well, the old man was terribly upset that this girl he'd hired would betray him like she did. So I decided to sue on his behalf.
But then he died, and you were left without a case. Unless you could settle out of court on behalf of a client everyone thought was still living.
All right. It was worth a shot. Listen, Lake is still willing to settle. Why don't you do the smart thing and tell him you talked with Wells and me and we're agreeable to say, how about $50,000? He'll pay your fee, he'll pay us, and we'll all just forget about it.
And if I don't? What then? You going to shoot me? You do, and you'll have to kill the doctor, too.
You'd never get away with it, Joel.
Right now, the charges are serious enough. Doctor, you failed to report a death. You disposed of the body illegally, right? What'd you do, bury him out here in the desert somewhere?
You said it would never come to this.
Joel, you're guilty of fraud. But murder, that's a whole new ball game. Hand me your gun, Joel.
Do it, Joel.
Here.
Good. Doctor, I have a hunch your testimony as a witness could spare you most of the penalty for your part in this. But Joel, you're going to need a good lawyer.
The Dollar Value of Death was written and produced by Jim French and directed by Pat French. In our cast were Russell Johnson, John Amendola Jr., Lee Posh, and Terry Rhodes. The Adventures of Harry Nile feature Phil Harper as Harry and Pat French as Murphy, with sound created by Stu Conway, Sean O'Meara, and Ben Peterson, and dialogue recording engineered by Peggy Stokes. The program was recorded before a live audience in Seattle. This is Jay Green speaking.